We are in Orlando, Florida at the Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe. This is a magnificent basilica and a prayerful and peaceful sacred space. Visitors from all over the United States and the world can come to Mass, stop in for a prayer, or take a peaceful meditative walk around the beautiful grounds. You may think that with all the entertainment and parks in the area that people wouldn't have the time to stop here. Well, would you believe that according to a recent travel website, the Basilica has been ranked number 3 out of 196 attractions in Central Florida? Why, out of all the attractions in the area, are people coming here? Well, we are going to find out just that by taking you on a tour of the Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe on this episode of Catholic Destinations.
The story begins in the mid-1970s in Central Florida. The new Walt Disney World had opened in October of 1971 in Orlando, and by the mid-70s, millions of tourists from all over the United States and beyond were flooding the region. Many of these tourists were Catholic. So in order to provide for their spiritual needs, the Diocese of Orlando arranged for Masses to be held at area hotels. Soon more Masses were added and more hotels enlisted to host. The outreach by the Orlando Diocese was fast becoming an apostolate, so Bishop Thomas Grady of Orlando turned to Father Joseph Hart to begin this unique tourist ministry.
He started in the hotels, then a few years after that began the development of this location. There was an initial chapel area for visitors and tourists, and in mid-80s, the ground was broken for the building of the shrine, the Basilica, what is now the Basilica.
The first phase was begun on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception in 1984. In 2 years, the initial facility was built and the outdoor chapel was being constructed and anchored by an 80-foot bell tower. On August 22, 1990, the Feast of Mary's Queenship, ground was broken for the main church that would seat as many as 2,000 people with standing room for many more. On August 22, 1993, more than 2,500 cardinals, bishops, priests, and guests joined together for the consecration. The then Bishop of Orlando, Most Reverend Norbert Dorsey, proclaimed it a day of great rejoicing, and the Papal Nuncio, Pio Laghi, brought a message from Pope John Paul II, who called the new shrine a house of pilgrimage.
I came here about 3.5 years ago, but I was blessed to observe the development of the ministry here from the early days with Monsignor Hart. And I didn't participate in the masses in the hotels, but a lot of my friends did, the priests. The ministry grew. I watched this place grow. I watched this beautiful shrine be created, and I came to admire so much what Monsignor Hart had been inspired to create. And of course, Orlando has just grown and grown, and they say there are 40 million people who come here every year into the Orlando area, and a significant number of those are Catholic.
Well, we are right in the middle, smack in the middle. We are, as the crow flies, less than a mile from Disney, about 2 miles from Universal, and 1.5 miles from SeaWorld. So we are really in the epicenter of the theme parks in Central Florida. And this is a tourist ministry. This is not a parish. It was built by tourists for tourists, and it's important for us to make sure that we keep that mission in mind all the time. With great foresight, Monsignor Hart found the land, which seemingly was in the middle of nowhere way back then. And it's a stone's throw from I-4, our major artery through Central Florida. But you wouldn't know it when you're here. It's a place of rest and solitude. And recently, we were awarded through TripAdvisor the 2014 one of the best top attractions in Orlando, or in Central Florida, I should say. There are 195 attractions in Central Florida, and we were rated number 3.
My first Sunday, I can't celebrate it with Father Hart, and at the 9:30 Mass, I looked out and there were 2,000 people in the pews and another 2,000 around the aisles, and I thought, oh, this must be what it's like at the Vatican. and it totally amazed me. And it was a bit intimidating, but it's just a very nice, friendly atmosphere. And it's a very positive atmosphere, and the people who come just seem very happy to be here. Yeah. So you get to love it very quickly and to relax and to enjoy it.
The shrine and the surrounding grounds are home to many beautiful pieces of art and places for reflection and prayer. It's not only a place for tourists to make their way over to Mass on a Sunday, but it is a pilgrimage destination, a place of contemplation, a time to pause during a busy vacation.
On Sunday, I invite the folks, if they're staying for a few more days, or a week perhaps, for them to come by in the knowledge that it's beautiful here for Sunday Eucharist. It's also very beautiful when they come during the week. We have Masses each day. We have confessions every day from 10 in the morning until 5. It's a lovely place to come and be quiet. We have an adoration chapel and a Rosary Garden. And it's just a very nice place of pilgrimage. So I love the overall atmosphere. There are very beautiful elements to it. The architecture itself, just the beauty of the layout of the building. It's rather huge, but it's not intimidating.
This beautiful shrine was designed by Rogers, Lovelock and Fritz, RLF, and it's an architectural firm, and they're based out of Winter Park in Florida. And when they got this commission, real excited to get this major commission for them. And Jack Rogers always really wanted to work on something like this. And he comes from a long line of architects, his grandfather being Gamble Rogers. And when he did the shrine, he studied a lot of the architectural old drawings of the first church of Constantine that was built in Rome. And in doing so, we've got this really incredible old world basilica feel, yet real clean and modern, streamlined look to it. So it's really a great mixture.
The minute you enter the grounds of the shrine, your pilgrimage begins with a welcoming experience as you approach the basilica.
So when the visitor drives in and gets into the parking lot, and they're first greeted by our beautiful sculpture of St. Michael. It's interesting. It's by a local artist here. Her name's Laura Dobbs. And they have St. Michael facing outwards with his back to the shrine church. So in essence, he's sort of like a centurion. He's guarding. He's also protecting the visitors when they come upon property too. So they're first greeted by him. They walk across a bridge with these two beautiful fountains on either side, reminiscent of the parting of the seas, approach the beautiful shrine church where we have our bronze doors.
The 3 arched portals that lead into the basilica invite visitors to experience the mystery of faith. They represent the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the living church.
As visitors cross the bridge to the basilica, they are greeted by mosaic portraits of Abraham, the Good Shepherd, and Mary. Each mosaic acts as a backdrop for the sculptured bronze figures atop the double doors. Abraham, together with figures of the 14 prophets, heads the Old Testament portal. Highlighting the center portal is a mosaic of Jesus as the Good Shepherd. The Living Church and Mary Mother of God portal is topped by a mosaic portrait of Mary with bronze figures of 14 Fathers of the Church. In relief below is the Blessed Virgin's own life's journey.
when you first walked into the narthex of the shrine, it was really well designed that we have that beautiful holy water font just directly in the center. It's a reminder that, of our baptism. Baptism being the door to the church is a visual reminder to people. It's made out of ebony wood and Portuguese rose marble with that everlasting ring circled with the living water fountains going through it as well. I have a very unusual mahogany archway. It's a gateway. It's an Arc of Triumph. It invites our visitors to come to bless themselves and then to go into the shrine church after being cleansed. Everything works so well together and so well planned that after going through those beautiful archways and blessing yourself with the holy water, you continue with the floor, like you said, the pattern on the floor with the rings of water, really pushing you towards the shrine, the sanctuary, the shrine church. Going through these beautiful faceted glass doors by Ken Van Rowan, and he's an architectural glass artist from Louisville, Kentucky, and he created those beautiful splashing water. So once again, as I mentioned, you're thoroughly cleansed into going into the sanctuary of the shrine church.
Well, there are so many pieces of beautiful art inside the basilica and out. One of the more impressive pieces is the 12-foot figure of the crucified Christ, which is suspended above the main altar. This 600-pound wooden sculpture set against glass panels forming a cross is a main focal point for the visitors as they enter the sanctuary.
We don't have any hanging chandeliers, and that was done on purpose. The architects wanted the first thing you see, you're just drawn to that beautiful crucified Christ. The crucified Christ was done by Jerzy Konar. He's a Polish artist. He has a studio in Chicago. And he created this wonderful, peaceful Christ. It's about 600 pounds. It's made out of linden wood. And it's unusual in the fact that he's not really attached to the cross. The cross behind it serves as a shadow because Jesus lived his life in the shadow of the cross. On the left side, when you're first walking in, we see St. Peter, who is the first pope. That beautiful bronze sculpture is very authoritative, yet very humble as well. You see him; he's pointing to the altar, pointing to salvation, Jesus. But yet his head is facing the other way. That sign of humility is really important, and you see that power of God is so evident in the sculpture itself as well. His clothing is blowing to the one side, even the wind is blowing his beard.
Across from the St. Peter sculpture, you will find a beautiful sculpture of St. Paul writing at the table. The artist Bruno Lucchesi created an older version of Paul seated at table with inkpot near, being inspired by the Holy Spirit to write one of his epistles to the early Christian communities.
The windows are called our Magnificat windows, and there's 14 of them in all. They start with the creation window, and they encircle around the whole perimeter of the shrine, ending with a second coming window. These were done by Judson Studios, which is a very wonderful glass firm that's out in Los Angeles, California. Walter Judson was a huge part of creating these windows and the iconography and all the stories that were going to be involved. Common to all the windows is a dove, the descending dove. It's a work of the Holy Spirit. The only window that might be slightly different is the crucifixion window. And in that window you see the dove, it's ascending. It's taking that sacrifice of Jesus up to heaven.
One of the more important and visited pieces of art in the shrine is the signature statue of the basilica.
Well, when the shrine was built, everyone sort of demanded Mary, Queen of the Universe. And what a project that was. Jill Berkey was chosen to do that major commission. And she's a carver at heart. And she really was so honored to do the piece. It took her about 2 years to get just a piece of marble. The marble is Carrara marble. It comes from the foundry called the Michelangelo Foundry, obviously named that because it was the same foundry Michelangelo used himself. So she carved it when she was in Pietrasanta. Took her about an additional year after finding the piece of marble. She was asked by the shrine to create a Mary that was both queen of the universe, but also a simple peasant girl. So she had those two extremes that she wanted to incorporate into the piece. So you see, when you're looking at Mary, you see that she's simply a lady, a girl who's just seated on a rock. But she has a very majestic look to her because her mantle is blowing open and it gives her a nice regal look. And her right hand, she's taking her mantle and she's pulling it. She's protecting us in her mantle. Jesus is sitting on her left side, which is closest to her heart. And you see, when she's holding him in such a way that she's giving him to us. Her hands are very soft. Jesus is facing outward, and she knows that he is ours.
Another popular sculpture in the shrine is the St. Joseph and the Child Jesus bronze sculpture. This very moving piece depicts Jesus spending time with Joseph at his carpenter's bench.
Perhaps one of the really favorite statues or images in the shrine is the figure of Joseph and Jesus. And Joseph is sitting at his work table in his carpenter's shop, and his boy, Jesus, is sitting on the table, and they're deeply into conversation together. And it is just kind of a gorgeous image of the Holy Family.
It's such a fabulous piece because in artwork, many times you don't really see Joseph so interactive with the family. Most times he's kind of known as a protector. And I love this layer that Joseph has in the sculpture because you see him as a human, as a human level and in that family circle and being a family man. So it's an incredible piece of interaction between a father and a son and how important it is not just to teach, but to listen.
The Universe Chapel, or Day Chapel, has a beautiful stained glass depiction of the midnight sky. Architectural glass artist Ken von Ron created the beautiful window from photographic studies of the night sky. The window creates a contemplative atmosphere, which encourages prayer and helps visitors reflect on Mary's role as Queen of the Universe. Suspended at the rear of the nave is the Rising Christ sculpture. The nearly 800-pound piece of sacred art is carved from linden wood and depicts Jesus seemingly emerging from a shroud. This sculpture, together with the upward spiral etched into the glass backdrop, invites the viewer to come through Jesus to the Father, giving those leaving the church a sense of optimism as they depart into the world.
The beautiful main church is not the only thing you want to visit while you are here. We suggest you take a walk around the grounds of the shrine, where you'll find the Mother and Child outdoor chapel behind me, a pilgrimage center, a museum, and peaceful pathways that form a landscaped Rosary Garden.
There's so many different things to see here at the shrine, one of them being the Rosary Garden, and it's a wonderful display of a garden and how it's laid out. It looks like, from an aerial view, you can see that it's a rosary laid out in bricks. And so you're welcome to walk the rosary and not necessarily have to hold one, and you can be able to spend time in the garden and pray and walk. And we have a beautiful sculpture at the front of the entry of that garden, and it's of Pope John Paul II.
Another significant sculpture can be found in the Basilica's courtyard. It is of the conversion of St. Paul. The bronze sculpture is installed on a solid granite base representing the road to Damascus and the first step of Paul's journey of faith. The piece captures the moment that Paul is blinded and is falling back. The sculpture is positioned within the center of the 4 palm trees in the courtyard, representing Paul's evangelization to the 4 corners of the earth. To the side of the main entrance to the Basilica is the Mother and Child outdoor chapel. There you will find the 90-foot tower holding the 3 bells made in Italy, as well as a beautiful bronze sculpture of Mary reaching out to embrace Jesus.
And was one of our first phases of development here at the shrine. We have a beautiful sculpture there by Jerzy Konar of Our Lady and a child Jesus, probably at the age of 4. When you see their connection, you know, there's just such a strong bond. When you're a child like that, your whole world revolves around your mother or your family or whoever's taking care of you, and you just see that in that interaction of that sculpture. We also have the bells and the bell tower, and those bells come to us from Italy, and they're the true ringing bells, and it's just a fabulous sound. We try to ring them for any celebratory time that we have here at the shrine.
Well, it's such a large basilica and surrounding grounds, and with thousands of people visiting from all over the world, it takes many hands to make everything run smoothly. That's where the wonderful volunteers of Mary's Shrine come in. They are upwards of 300 in number, and they create a close family atmosphere at the shrine, welcoming visitors and making them feel at home while they are away from home.
We have a volunteer staff second to none. We have over 300 volunteers who are passionate about the shrine. They are faithful. They come every week. We have volunteers that come during the week to help us out for different projects and mailings, gift shop volunteers, and our Mass volunteers on the weekend are amazing. There's probably 16 to 20 volunteers per Mass every single weekend. We have 5 Masses. And then we have some quiet kind of under-celebrated volunteers, I'll say, that are in the backgrounds. They take care of the linens and some of those things. They kind of sweep in on a Monday morning, and by the next weekend they're there, they're pressed, they're ready to go. So for anybody that wants to volunteer, we've got some snowbirds that come down for a couple months a year, and they volunteer for the months that they're here. We have some that are year-round volunteers. And then we've got students from the Disney program that are down here on the college program that will volunteer while they're here in the apartments right next door. So we have soup to nuts, the whole gamut of different volunteers and the different roles that they play.
We have an excellent staff of folks who work here full-time and who work very well together and take a great sense of ownership and responsibility for the outreach and for the hospitality and for all the things that need to happen in the background. But we are blessed to have a core community of people from neighboring parishes mostly. Many of them have been working here as volunteer ministers since the very beginning of the ministry of the shrine. They began working with Father Hart. Many of them are still here. And we get a steady stream of people who come forward and say, "It's beautiful, I love what happens here, I'd like to be part of it." And so they are absolutely essential to the functioning of the ministry. And they do all the ministries of the Eucharist. They are at the front doors welcoming people for Mass on Sunday and at the weekend. They're here to provide guidance and a warm, loving reception. They do all the things that are necessary to receive a huge congregation every weekend. And there's no way that we can function without them. And thank God for them. We are blessed.
Certainly there are people that set out to do a pilgrimage, and when they cross the bridge, their gait and their pace is steady. It's interesting. I love sitting out there watching people. And then you have some people as they approach the waterway, their pace slows a little bit. You wonder what's on their heart, what brought them here that day. So to have somebody at the door welcoming them, saying, "Hey, happy you're here, glad to see you." For those people that want to engage in conversation, we find out where they're from, how long they're staying. Some people are really focused. They want to light a candle, they want to say a prayer, so we're respectful of that as well. Well, I love the shrine, I love the mission, and I think that
that growing up here, I've seen so many changes in Orlando, and so much growth and development, and so much commercialism and high entertainment, that I really find that we're just like this little spiritual oasis in the middle of all this mecca of craziness. So it really is a place that you can come and have that renewal of faith, and that time to yourself, and that time of prayer and reflection that no other place can offer around this area.
It's interesting. I've got a new aspect on my faith from working here, and not because of the church environment and not because of some of the more obvious things, but truly connecting with the people who visit here, sitting on the bench and watching two adult children kind of embrace the mom as they get closer to the door and wondering, did she just lose her husband? Did they lose a father? Just seeing what this place does to other people, it just touches my heart every single day. So if I'm in the office and I'm crunching numbers and doing all that static stuff that we have to do, and I lose focus, I just get up, I walk to the courtyard, I come to the narthex, and I reconnect with why I'm here. It's the bigger purpose. We're here for the mission, and our doors are always open.
When I came to the shrine, I realized that we have a very fluid community, but it's a wonderful experience of the universal nature of the church, because people are coming from all over the country, people are coming from many other countries, and you can just see it in their faces, the amazing phenomenon of all the different people who are here, but also their incredible quality of faith. That's been a tremendous blessing to me. It is a great privilege to be a priest in a ministry like this. As I say, it's been unusual for me, having been in parishes, but it's a joy. And I feel grateful for the opportunity to be the rector here.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our visit here at the Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe. We can certainly see why this is ranked as one of the top attractions in Central Florida. The people in this area, the many visitors who have come here over the years, and the devotion and dedication of a priest has made this basilica and shrine what it is today. How important it is to have this place of worship, prayer, respite, and peace in this area of busyness and entertainment. I'd like to thank all the wonderful people who helped us put this show together. Father Paul, Gina, Catherine, Sue, Vincent, all the people here at the shrine. And of course, we'd like to thank you as well for joining us. And don't forget, if you are planning a trip to Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, or any of the other attractions in this area, make sure to make the shrine one of your stops while you are here. You won't be disappointed. Thanks again for being with us as we journeyed through the Basilica of the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe. And don't forget to please join me again next time for another Catholic Destination.